Hi, welcome to Lab Workshop 4a. So for the next 2 weeks we're going to be working with Microsoft Access. So for this lab we want to open a new Microsoft Access database. So we'll go to Microsoft Access. And open a blank database. So it opens, when we open to a blank database, the first thing it gives us is a blank table because our database really is just a collection of tables. So it knows we're going to start with a table. On your instruction sheets, we've been given a entity relationship diagram for J's agency. So J represents artists and places their paintings in galleries in hopes that they can be sold. We can see the relationships between our entities in the entity relationship diagram, and we know that for each of the entities in our diagram we have to create a table. So the first thing we're going to do is create an artist table. That will be this first table. So we want to go to the View button here on the left. In Microsoft Access you're often switching between views. So we want to go to Design View. And Microsoft Access wants us to give our table a name now, so we will call it Artist. We use singular nouns as the names for our entities and our tables. Say OK. And in Design View, this is our data dictionary. So this is where we defined all of the fields or attributes that we want in this table. And we can, down at the bottom here, field properties, we can specify different things about each of the fields. So the first field up here, it's suggesting that we want some sort of an ID field or a primary key. In fact, there's a little gold colored key here indicating that this will be the primary key. And we'll accept that, so we'll say artist ID is the first field here. And for a data type, we'll have it auto number. That means the first artist we put in will be number 1, and then the second artist will be number 2, and so on. So artist ID is the first field that we want. We then want artist last name or L name. And for that, when we click in data type, by default it has text, and that's the correct data type. We then want a field for artist first name or F name, and that's going to be a text field as well. We want artist email, and for a data type here, we can use the drop down. We'll actually have that as a hyperlink. For artist phone, now this may seem a little strange, but we want the phone number to be a text data type. The general rule of thumb in databases is if you're not going to do arithmetic or math with something, it should be text. So we're never going to add two phone numbers together or multiply them, so we will put it in as a text data type. For things like phone numbers, we can also create input masks. So input masks will force a certain format on that particular field. So when we are in the artist phone field, down in the field properties section, there's the third line down is input mask. If we click on that and go over at the very far left-hand side, we have this button with 2 dots. And that button means there's more. So I'll click on that to see what else there is here. Must save the table first. Access will always remind you to save things as you go along. And there's no sort of undoing things in Access as there is in Word or in Excel. So we must save the table first. Save now, yes. So now we have the whole list of common input masks, and the first one is a phone number. So it's going to put brackets around the area code for us, and it will put a hyphen after the next 3 letters and before the last 4 letters. So all we'll have to do is just type in 10 numbers and it will do the formatting for us. It will also give us an error if we only put in 9 numbers. It will tell us that that's not a proper phone number. So we'll say next. We could make some changes if we know the proper codes to put in. We could put some changes, but we don't really need to change anything. We'll just say finish. So now down here, it's put a few other coding symbols around it, but it shows that we have an input mask for the artist phone. So this has been, as I said, we're in design view now. This is our data dictionary where we specify everything we need to specify about our fields. We can put descriptions in for each of our field. We don't need them particularly for these ones, but if your field name isn't terribly obvious what that means, you can put in a description. Let's go back to datasheet view. Must save the table, yes. And so this is where we actually see our table and where we can fill in our items of data. So we want to put in our first 3 artists. So if I just go to artist last name, my first artist, the last name is Brown. First name is Rose. And I'll put an email, so rBrown@dojaco.ca, and I will type in a phone number. So again, as I say, all we have to do is type in 10 digits, and the input mask will do the formatting for us. Then I can go down to the second artist, last name is Green. Daisy D. Green. And a phone number. Oops, didn't start in the right place there. And then our third artist is Black, Violet Black. So Black is the last name. Violet is the first name. And a phone number. So we've input 3 artists. We now want to create our next table, which will be our painting table. When you're working in Access, Access likes you to close things as you finish with them. So we can go over here to the X on the right-hand side and close the artist table. We also, on the left-hand side here, notice this table that says All Access Objects. And now we have an artist table in that list. So this is where all of the things we create, all of the tables, the forms, the queries, and the reports will be listed down here. So I want to create a new table, so I go to the Create tab at the top. I want to create a table. If I open just Table, it'll go to Datasheet View. If I go to Table Design, it'll take me straight to the Design View. So in the table design, now we need to put our fields in. Our first field in the painting table is going to be Painting ID. And I will put that as an auto number. And because we came straight to design, it didn't suggest the key, so I can right-click here and say that this is my primary key. So that's how we create a key. The next field I want is title. the title of my painting. That will be a text field. So the default data type is fine. Medium, that's also a text field. The price of the painting, and I can, through the drop down, I can pick currency for price. And then we know that the painting is on the many side of a one-to-many relationship with the artist table. And that means that artist ID is going to be a field in my painting table. So artist ID. And for the data type, I have to put in the type that Access will find when it goes to look up artist ID in the artist table. In the artist table, it was an auto number, so that means when Microsoft Access goes and looks in the artist table, it's going to see a number. So we have to have a matching data type here. So we'll have the data type as a number. Another thing we can do in the design view here with our fields is we can do lookups. And for medium, there's only a certain number of different mediums that a painting can be. So we can put that in as a lookup list so that we don't have to type them each time. So to do that for medium, I'm going to, at the very bottom of the data type, so I've chosen text as the data type. The very bottom of this drop down, though, I have a Lookup Wizard. So I'm going to use the Lookup Wizard. And the first box here, I have two choices. I can have the lookup field get the values from another table or query, or I will type in the values that I want. So I don't have the different mediums in another table or query, so I will type in the values that I want in this case. I'll say next. And it says, what values do you want to see? So the different mediums, I have oil for oil paintings, watercolor. Actually, it's probably all one word. Acrylic. I can have charcoal sketches. I can have mixed medium. So we'll just put those 5 in. I can say next. Ask me a label for my lookup field, and then it asks, do I want to limit entries to those choices? So if I click that box, it would force me to pick something from the list. If I leave it unclicked, if I get a painting in that has some other kind of medium, then I would be able to type that in. So I'll leave it unclicked. I'll say finish. And we've created a lookup for the medium. Now I can also do a lookup for artist ID. As I'm putting a new painting in, I don't necessarily want to have to remember what the artist's artist ID number was when I put in a new painting. So I can solve that by using a lookup and having the lookup table give me artist names. So again, I want to go to data type, go down to the bottom to the Lookup Wizard. This time I want the lookup field to get the values from another table or query. So I'll leave that button checked. I'll go next. I want to go to the artist table, so I'll select that one. That's the only other table we have at the moment, but if we would have a list here, I'm going to select the artist table. I'll say next. And then what fields of artists contain the values you want included in your lookup field? So I'll bring over artist ID because that's actually the key that's linking the two tables. It's a primary key in the artist table and a foreign key in the painting table. But I really want to see artist last name and maybe first name as well. I'll say next. I can sort by, I'll sort by artist last name, so I'll get an alphabetical list. I'll say next. And so this is what the lookup the drop-down box is going to look like. So it's got a list of my artists alphabetically by last name. You'll notice this box that says high key column recommended is checked. So it's not showing me the artist ID. If I unclick that, then it actually shows me the number. But I don't need to see the number. Seeing the name will be fine to pick out the proper artist. If I say next, what label do I want? Do you want to enable data integrity between these tables? What this really means is referential integrity. So I'm going to say yes, enable data integrity or referential integrity. I'll say finish. Now, a table must be saved before relationships can be created. So it has figured out that because I did a lookup to another table, that there's now a relationship between these two tables. So I will say yes, save now, and give the table a name. So painting. This is my painting table. Now I'm going to go back to my datasheet view and I will input some paintings. So I'm going to let the painting ID auto number. The first title is Linear Thoughts. The medium here I can pick from a drop down is oil. The price is $500. And again, because it's currency, it will put in the $sign and the cents for me. And for the artist, I can choose from my list. So the artist of this painting is Rose Brown. Painting number 2, Regression Blues. It is a watercolor. The price is $250. And the artist is green. Next painting, mean mode in red. Medium is oil. Price is $150. Artist is brown. Gray Simulations. Is an oil painting. Price is $325. Artist is black. Next one is Models in Repose. It's acrylic. Price is $350. And the artist is green. And then our last painting here is a series in time. It is a charcoal sketch, $200, and by Rose Brown. Okay, so we've input our paintings. We'll now close the painting tool. And I want to just go and look at the relationship that was created. So if I go to Database Tools, tab at the top, and the Relationships tool, and I can see that it's showing my artist is linked to my painting table with a one-to-many, and the relationship looks correct. If your relationships are not proper, are not don't match your entity relationship diagram, or your data isn't modeled properly, your database won't work when we start to try and get information out in the form of queries. So I'll close the Relationships tool. Save changes, yes. Okay, now I need to create a third table, my gallery table. So I'll go back to Create, Table, opens a data sheet view. I'll go to Design View. I'll name it Gallery. And again, it suggests I need an ID, so I'll put Gallery ID. I'll let that auto number as well. And the first field I want is gallery name. Data type is text. Owner, L name, text. Owner, F name is a text field. Gallery phone is again a text field. Gallery email, we'll make that a hyperlink. And gallery location is text. For the gallery phone, we'll again put an input mask. So we'll click on gallery phone and come down here to input mask and click in the third row and on the button with the little dots. Save the table, yes. And we want a phone number mask, so we'll just say finish. Now let's go back to datasheet view. Let's save the table, yes, and we'll put in a couple of galleries here. So I've got 270 West Gallery. The owner last name is Fields. Owner first name is Ben. And the gallery phone, I'll put in a phone number here. 270 West at simpatico.ca. The gallery location is London. And then our second gallery is Monica's Art Space. Owner last name is Reed. First name Monica. Put in a phone number. Monica's at, and the location of Monica's is Montreal. So we've got a couple of galleries. We'll now close the gallery table. And we have one more table to create if we go back and look at our entity relationship diagram, and that is the placement table. So I'm going to create a table that's in datasheet view, go to design view. This is the placement table. Okay, and we'll have a placement ID, and we'll let it auto number as well. Now the placement table from our entity relationship diagram is on the many side of two different relationships. So it's going to get two foreign keys. It will get one from the painting table. So painting ID will be a foreign key from the painting table. It was auto-numbered, so the data type here has to be a number. That's what it's going to find when it goes to the painting table. And then gallery ID, again, has to be a number data type. So those are both foreign keys. The other things I probably want are the date out, and I'll put that in as a date time field, or type, data type. Date back is another date type, date time. And then I'll want to know whether it's sold or not. So I'll put sold question mark, and the data type here will be yes, no. So it'll just give us a checkbox. I want to do lookups for my foreign keys, the same as I did in my painting table. I don't want to have to remember a painting ID or a gallery ID when I'm filling out a placement. So for painting ID and data type, I'll go to Lookup Wizard. I want it to get the values from another table, so I say yes. I want it to go to the painting table, so I'll choose it, say next. And I want painting ID and title. I'll say next. I'll do it alphabetical by title, next. And it shows me what my drop-down list is going to look like. A list of the titles of the paintings I've got. I'll say finish. Table must be saved before relationship can be created. So it's going to create a relationship for me. I'll do the same for gallery. So Lookup Wizard from a table, the gallery table. I'll bring over gallery ID and gallery name. Say next. I want it alphabetical by gallery name. Next. And so it asks me if this is what I want. So I say yes, that I'll just finish it. Table must be saved. Okay. So now I'm going to close the painting table, and I'm going to go and check my relationships again. So under Database Tools, Relationships, I don't see the other tables, so I'll add them. So we'll say Show Table. So I want to add in the gallery table and the placement table. And I can close this. And we can reorganize things. We probably want to get things so that they look like our entity relationship diagram in some ways. So Access has created the relationships with my foreign keys, but I didn't go to the next box where I would have checked that data integrity or that data integrity field. So I have to edit these relationships in order to get my one-to-many symbols. So if I right-click on the line, I can get Edit Relationship. So it says it's a relationship between the painting ID from the painting table and painting ID in the placement table. And here is where I want to say enforce referential integrity. That says it's a relationship type is one-to-many. I will say OK, and that gets me my little one-to-many symbols. I'll do the same thing here. I'll right-click, Edit Relationship. So gallery ID in the gallery table is related to gallery ID in the placement table. I'll enforce referential integrity and say OK. So now all of my relationships are in there properly. This relationship tool matches my entity relationship diagram. So I'll close the database tools and save changes to the layout. Yes. Okay, so that's it for creating tables. The next video we'll do the rest of Lab Workshop 4a.